الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه المنتجبين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Let us recite Surah Al-Fatiha for all the mu'mineen, mu'minat, all your deceased and martyrs of Islam. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Malik yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa nasta'in. Siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alayhim ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim. قال الله جل وعلا في محكم كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين ونعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Yasin in verses 60 and 61, did we not take an oath from you, O children of Adam, that you shall not serve Satan, he is your open enemy, and that you shall serve me, this is the straight path. Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters in Islam and faith, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have been speaking for the past 7 days, and today is the 8th day of the holy month of Ramadan. Our subject, which is shaitan and how he misguides mankind, the tricks and the plots that he tries to place, and the traps for us to fall into disobeying the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have been discussing shaitan and the means and the ways that he uses to deceive mankind. Yesterday we mentioned about Satan and where he lives. And we mentioned that where does he live? He lives on Sirat al-Mustaqim. And where did we say this Sirat al-Mustaqim is? The Sirat al-Mustaqim is not in the bars, is not in these clubs, is not in these evil places. Sirat al-Mustaqim is in the masjid. Sirat al-Mustaqim is in the Islamic center. And you find that shaitan will come to these Islamic centers and try to inject his characteristics into the human being here inside the Islamic center, or anywhere where the dhikr, anywhere there is mentioning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shaitan will be there and he will be sitting on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. So if you're sitting in your home and you have the Quran, for example, on, and you're listening to that Quran, or your home, they say that there's a hadith for a holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says that the Masjidul Mar'a Baytuha, that the mosque of a woman is her home. And you find
you made a big mistake.
You find that when if this was not the case, then we would not have Sayyida Shababi Ahl al-Jannah. So I recovered. Alhamdulillah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Thank you.
So if it was not for Fatima al-Zahra, salamullahi alayha, then we would not have Sayyida Shababi Ahl al-Jannah. Of course, we all have, both the husband and the wife have the same role and same objective, but different highways and avenues to get to that exit. And the responsibilities are both the same. But you find that the role of the mother, if it was not for the role of the mother, then we would not be who we are today. So this is where shaitan will sit. He will come and he will sit on that Sirat al-Mustaqim. And this is why the role of a mother is so important, because shaitan will come many more times to her and to the home while you are at work, or vice versa. So we were talking about yesterday where shaitan lives, and we said that he lives on Sirat al-Mustaqim. And that the shaitan, he will come and try to misguide those who are good and they want to walk on the straight path. So if you have, for example, you have not been paying attention to your religion over the course of your life, or in fact you haven't, more specifically, you haven't been paying attention to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have been a good person your whole life, but it's just that you weren't focusing on Allah. Allah was focusing on you, and He was making sure that you are protected until you can reach the conclusion that the very reason why you are still here and you have all of these blessings was because of Allah, and because of His mercy that He allowed you to stay alive until this time, so you can recognize the reason and the purpose of the blessings that you have today. And this is the mercy and compassion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He gives us many chances. And you have many ahadith that say, for example, give 70 chances for your brother or for your friend if he is at fault. So this is really the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and your relationship with Him. And this is why in this holy month of Ramadan, we should take advantage of that relationship. Now coming back to our subject, which is shaitan and how he misguides mankind, we said that the shaitan will come to the Islamic center, for example, or the places where Allah is being worshipped, whether it's here, whether it's in the home, whether it's even at your job. Sometimes we are at the job the whole time and we don't have the time to go back home or come to masjid, so we pray in the workplace. You'll find that most of the time, unfortunately, in the places of worship, of course we said, again, not this place of worship, the other places, because here all of us are muttaqi and we're all, alhamdulillah, God-fearing here. So you go and you find that in some other places of worship, that the reason why they want to pray in the first line is because it's an act of, they want to show off, or they want to make it known to people that I have all of these rings, for example. You see all the different kinds, the Fairuz, the Aqiq, the Hajar Sini, all the different kinds, all the different colors, they're wearing it. And they even the Sibha, they have different Aqiqs in the Sibha, and they make sure that, they make it known to everyone, that they carry the powers of the universe through their rings. So you have these type of people, but you find when you come to our holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what does he say? He says, "Inna Allah la yandur ila ajsamikum, wala ila suwarikum, walakin yandur ila qulubikum wa a'malikum." That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He comes and He looks at a Muslim, a believer, a mu'min, He does not look at the clothes that he's wearing, or the way that he looks, or the car that he drives, or the house that he has. But what He looks at is your qulub, your hearts, and your a'mal, and your deeds. This is what Allah looks for. So when we come to the masjid, we should come here sincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we should come dressed with the best clothes, mashallah, I see all the different styles, and smelling the best of smells, perfume and cologne, because we're coming. And this is why sometimes when you sit down in majalis, they say, زَيِّنُوا مَجَالِسْكُمْ بِالصَّلَاةِ عَلَى مُحَمَّدْ وَآلِ مُحَمَّدْ. Because the best zina, the best ornament is when you recite a salawat. So when we come to the center, we come here for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we come here and we have that intention in our hearts, then that is a guaranteed blessing for yourself and for your family and for your kids. Because we said in this country, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that guides. So we come to our subject, how does shaitan misguide? So shaitan speaks about the people and how he will misguide them. He says in Surah An-Nisa verse 119, and I will mislead them, and I will arouse in them sinful desires, and I will command them so that they will slit the ears of the cattle. So shaitan is saying that he will order the people and he will lead them astray and he will excite in them vain desires. So we all know that we are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He instilled these desires in us, these animalistic desires in us. And everyone has these desires. But the true mu'min is the one that comes and understands that he has these natural desires, but he controls them. And if you don't know how to control them, then they will control you. So you find that the sin that you commit has no pleasure. You get no pleasure when you commit that sin. In fact, when you commit that sin, you regret that you have committed that sin and you feel so regretful. But it's not the sins that give you pleasure. It's the anticipation of committing those sins that give you pleasure. Thinking of those sins is more pleasurable than committing those sins. For example, la samahullah, if you wanted to go to a party, the anticipation of the party itself is better than going to the party. Or la samahullah, if you see someone drinking alcohol, it's not the thought, it's not drinking the alcohol itself that is pleasurable, but the thought itself. Because those that drink alcohol, you go and you find the results of those that drink the alcohol. What happens to them? They sleep, sometimes they don't even wake up. Unfortunately, we have many incidents in our communities. Like for example, in Dearborn, unfortunately there was a brother who was misled, and he went with his friends, and unfortunately he drank the alcohol and he came back home and he slept and he did not wake up the next morning. He did not wake up. Sometimes you don't have a chance to make up with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And how many accidents is this alcohol causing on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis? Yet you find those commercials, when they come out, they make it look like it's the best thing in the world. It's like the ultimate, it's the climax of fun and excitement, when in fact it's the total opposite. So this is shaitan. He makes it look like it's really good and nice. So what shaitan does is he makes you go toward the sin, and then when we do that sin, we find that it was not good as we expected it to be, and it never will be. That's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises the hereafter, you see that we have this hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. He says that if you think you know what heaven is, and you have that image of heaven in your mind, then that's not heaven. Meaning that if you can imagine what heaven is, then that's not heaven. Because heaven is more pleasurable than you can even think of. So no matter how hard you try to imagine how heaven is, it's even more pleasurable than you can even imagine. And the same thing with hell. If you come and you think that you know what hell looks like and what hell feels like, then it's worse than you can ever imagine hell to be. And when you think of fire, it's nothing even compared to fire. So both extremes. So hence when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give you pleasure, He gives you real pleasure. But shaitan, he only tries to incline us towards that sin. And shaitan is coming and he's giving us his fourth quality. What is that? When he says, when I order them to commit a sin, they will do it. So what is this fourth quality? When we leave the belief of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we tend to believe in anything that is irrational and baseless and basically stupid. This is what happens. When you leave the kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you will believe anything. You have no foundation. And this is why our foundation should be so strong. And that foundation begins with our salah. That foundation, that's why they say, As-salah, inna salata amud ad-din. That salah, prayer, is the foundation of religion. So the fourth quality of shaitan is that he will come and he will order us to do stupid things, and we will do it. And we will do those things based on no evidence and no proof. Now, I'm going to go through a series of examples, and these examples were taken from my teacher, Hujjat al-Islam al-Muslimin, Maulana Sheikh Mirza Baig, and I thought they were very interesting examples, and they relate to our human psychology. The first example I want to give is, for example, when you're going to buy a house. That feeling of buying a house, I don't know how it is for a man. I mean, I haven't really went and personally bought a house myself, but that feeling for the mother, for example, or the wife, that is, the house for a sister, that's like her kingdom, So imagine you're going and you're buying that new home of yours, and this is the first time you're becoming a homeowner, and it's a feeling that you've never ever had before. And in fact, for the husband, for the man of the house, it was a great buy. It was a catch. The real estate agent just gave him the secret of it being available and listed, and he went and he purchased the home. So just imagine that feeling of walking into your home. You just purchased it, and that feeling that, alhamdulillah, Allah has given me a home that now I own. So you enter the house with your wife, and she comes and she's looking at the different rooms, and she's imagining the different settings. I'm sure they're enjoying this. They imagine the different settings, the different rooms, and what kind of furniture and accessories they can put in there. And of course, they're not going to go to IKEA. I don't know if you have IKEA here. They're going to go to Art Van or to the really, really most expensive places to purchase the furniture. The brothers are not really liking me right now because I'm giving them ideas. So they go into those different rooms and they're imagining. So, say for example, she, alhamdulillah, furnished the home and everything is done. Now it comes, you're going to your job, for example. So you leave the house, and most of the time, this is the way I used to feel when I used to go back home, that you go back home and your home is like a vacation, away from the outside world. So you leave your home and you go to work, and 3-4 days pass by, and then you go back home, and then your wife tells you, for example, I need some milk. So what do? you decide to go to the 7-Eleven in the corner store. So you go to the 7-Eleven and you spark up a small conversation with the cashier. So he tells you, how's it going? How's everything? I see that you're new here in the neighborhood. How's it going? Do you like the neighborhood so far? He's like, yeah, I love the neighborhood. My wife really loves the house, and mashallah, she did such a great job furnishing it. And no complaints. I love the neighborhood. It looks like a peaceful neighborhood. He's like, oh, mashallah. He's like, very, very good, very good. Well, it's nice to have you here in the neighborhood as a new neighbor. I would like to welcome you. So he said, thank you. Then he said, but did you hear anything like about that home that you purchased? Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I got a really good price. I got a really good deal. So the cashier tells him, well, you didn't hear? He said, what do you mean? Well, is there something that I should know about? He said, yes. Well, in that home, it was, people before you, they had some complaints. He said, what? Some complaints? What are you talking about? He said, yeah, some complaints. They said that there were ghosts and there were jinns in that house. La hawla la quwwata illa billah. Jinns and ghosts in that house? What do you mean? What are you talking about? I've been 3 or 4 days in that house and I haven't seen no ghosts and no jinns. What are you talking about? So he said, yeah, man, I'm sorry to break the news to you, but your house is haunted. I don't know which other way to try to make it sound to you, but your house is haunted. La hawla la quwwata illa billah. So what happens is he goes back. Of course, he has to go back and give the milk to his wife, right? He has to go back home. It's his home. He just purchased it. So imagine driving, 3-4 days. You're going and you're coming as if there's, everything is normal, just the usual. So this time, when you're driving back, you're looking outside your window. You're probably driving like Ace Ventura with your head outside the window. You're looking at your left and right mirror. You're looking in your rear view mirror, in which maybe you've never looked in your life. So this is the situation. And as you're pulling into your driveway, you pull in very slowly, and you're checking behind the bushes. You're looking around, to see if there's anything there. So that pleasure that you had from the first second that you walked into your home, it's not there anymore. It's gone. It's vanished. It went out the window. So what happens? You go and you open that door and you say, Assalamu alaikum, alaikum assalam. And somehow, some way you hear echoes of that alaikum assalam. And then you go into all the rooms. You start checking the rooms, not to see if everything is in its place, but just to see if there is something else there. Then what happens is you find that your whole perspective of the whole purchasing of the new home, that you got such a good deal on it, and it's so close to work, and all of those good feelings, what happened? They went out the window. And all of this was based upon an opinion that a stranger gave to you. And he said that there might be some ghosts and some jinns in there. Another example is of a person that used to go to work. And he actually used to walk to work, and his house was very near his shop. It was maybe like a half a mile away. So he would leave his house, and as he would walk to his work, he would pass by a graveyard. So he would pass by the graveyard every single day. One day, one person came to his shop and told him, how are you? How's your day going? And he said, where do you live? He said, I live on the other side of the graveyard. Oh, you live on the other side of the graveyard. MashaAllah, very good. Then he says, this question always pops up. Oh, you didn't hear? What do you mean I didn't hear? I come here every single day, and it's just normal. Nothing, no real action going on, just routine, same thing every day. So then he says, You didn't hear? He's like, no, I didn't hear. Can you just please tell me and make my day? So he says, well, someone said that he saw a dead man walking in the graveyard. And not only that he was walking in the graveyard, but he says that he saw a dead man walking in the graveyard and he ran out with someone. La hawla la quwwata illa billah. What do you mean? You seen someone in the graveyard, so okay, someone came out of his coffin and then he tag teamed with someone else and he ran out of the graveyard. La hawla illah. Okay, brother. I mean, what do you, the brother's like, what are you talking about? You only see these things in the movies. What do you mean the guy came out of his coffin and he's running? What are you talking about? So I said, man, you're crazy, man. You don't know what you're talking about. So this guy, of course, he couldn't wait till, his shift ended, his day ended, and he was walking back to his home. So as he was walking back to his home, he's not driving, but he's looking over his shoulder, left shoulder, right shoulder, and he's not doing salams to the angels, He's just checking over his shoulder. So he goes past that direction, and of course all these ideas are popping in his head of this dead man coming out of the coffin and this other guy running with him. So his whole perspective has changed, that it's not a matter of exercise anymore, going and coming, from going home and coming back. So you find that his whole perspective changed because of an opinion of a stranger. Now the reason why I gave you examples of these two is that they heard about a ghost and a jinn, and they heard about this dead man coming out of the coffin, and it was only an opinion. But what happened? What happened was that completely changed that person and his lifestyle based upon an opinion. So imagine that there's no evidence whatsoever, and that changed your whole perspective and life. When the dead man, he's afraid of you, not the other way around. And you realize that we are the Khalifa of the jinn. Allah ordered the jinn to prostrate to us, to Adam. We are the Khalifa over the jinn. And the dead man is so weak that we are the ones that take him and put him in the coffin. MashaAllah, is that a confirmation from someone? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So you find that our fears are baseless and they have no evidence whatsoever. And this is where shaitan comes in. He tries to create baseless assumptions and fears into our hearts. And this is why shaitan is saying that when I order them, they will cut the ears of cattle and do stupid things. So the problem is that we are believing in things that are baseless, and we believe in things that have no proof and are baseless. Now I just want to give one last example in which my teacher, he says that when he went to get married in India, he seen Imam Zamit. Am I saying it right? Imam Zamit. Zamil? Zamil. Okay. So he seen that and he said that it's not an imam. But he said that it's something on a thing that you tie on your hand, correct me if I'm wrong, and says that if you go on a trip and if you go on a journey and you're sick, that you're supposed to tie it on your hand, right? And then if you reach your destination, you give some charity or to someone that is poor, and if you get well, you give that charity to someone that is poor. So this actually, he says, is based on a hadith that you give with the intention of charity, and Allah will make sure that the charity reaches where it's intended to go. And that's the secret behind it. We find that he came and he asked a youngster, he seen a youngster wearing it, and he came and he asked him. He told him, what is that thing that you have wrapped around your hand? So he said that it is Imam Zamet. So he asked him, like, why is it that you're wearing it? So he said, again, that famous question, oh, you didn't hear? So the youngster says, well, there was this young lady and she had a dream. And she had a dream that there was this holy lady that came to her, and she had like so much nur was coming out from her, and obviously he was referring to Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha. So he's saying that this lady, she had a dream, and she was an old lady, and he was saying that it was Bibi Fatima that this lady seen, and she told her of all the afflictions and the torments that were going to come to her town. And if you wanted to be saved from these torments and afflictions, then every youngster should wear Imam Zamet. And that's why I'm wearing it, because everyone's wearing it. That was the whole reasoning behind why he was wearing it. So my teacher then says, he says, it's because that this old lady is coming and saying that she had a dream that Bibi Fatima came to her and said that everyone should wear this so they can be saved. So this is why they're following it. So then my teacher tells him, so you're wearing this Imam Zamet because an old lady had a dream. And she said that if you don't wear this, all the afflictions and the torments are going to come and going to hit you. So he said, my teacher asked him and told him, why are you believing this? What are you basing this off? So the youngster, he says, what if it's true? What if it's true? What if her dream is true? Now, you find many people in our lives, they come and they believe these sort of things based off a dream. And that's why right when they have a dream, they come to you and they want you to interpret their dream. They're hoping that, they hit the jackpot, or inshallah they're not going to lose their job. So they base their reality on dreams, on superstitions, on something that has no evidence and no proof. So imagine what we are ready to do based off of a dream, or based off of what someone else said as an opinion. But when a marja' comes to us and gives us a ruling, we say, what is this? This is not fair, this is oppression, this is injustice. I am madloom. A marja' is coming and telling you, and he is the divine representative of the Imam during our time. He's telling us, he's giving us a ruling, because he's performed his studies, and he has become an expert in his field. The expert of the field is coming and giving us a ruling. But what do? We don't listen to him. We doubt him. So my teacher is saying that we will not doubt the old lady, but we will come and we will doubt the marja'. So you see that we'll doubt the ayatullah, but we won't doubt these dreams and the opinions of others. But the reality of it is, brothers and sisters, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a religion based on evidence and based on proof. And maybe if that religion came down in the form of dreams and through old ladies, maybe we would have followed it more than we would follow it based on the teachings of a marja'. And to conclude, really, who is telling us to believe in these things? Is it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is telling us to believe in these things? Or is it the shaitan? You find that if your ideology is that weak, that you are so sensitive, you're so sensitive, brother. If you're so sensitive that you don't have knowledge and you don't have the correct ideology, then you are going to be swayed just like how the leaf is swayed by the wind. It will take you in whichever direction the wind blows. So Ahlul Bayt, salamullahi alayhim, they gave us the gems. They gave us the treasure. And I was just telling a brother the other day for iftar, I was telling him that if you have the treasure, you will never be jealous of anyone. But if you don't have that treasure, then you don't know what that treasure is, then you will be jealous of other people. And what is that treasure? The love of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. So to conclude, brothers and sisters, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals a religion of His, then He reveals that religion based on proof. He reveals that religion based on evidence. And you will have no argument against it. And this goes back to the time of our Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he challenged all of mankind and the jinn. He said, just bring one verse, only one verse, compared to this Holy Quran. They couldn't even bring one verse. And even until this day, they cannot bring this verse. And even until this day, to bring it into practical matters, into physical matters, who are our ayats in this day and age? Who are our practical ayat? They are our maraja'. They are ayatullah on earth. So even until this day, they have no match. Just like how they couldn't match the ayah of the Quran, they cannot match the ayah, which is the marja' of today. So therefore, brothers and sisters, our religion, the religion of Islam, and the madhab of Ahlul Bayt specifically, and the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wassalam, are not based on any superstitions, on any dreams, or on any opinions of what other people say. There is an aqeedah. There is this aqeedah, when it is mixed with your intentions, and when we said we come to the center with the purest of intentions, then it will be impossible for shaitan to come and to misguide you. So this is the fourth quality of shaitan, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah An-Nisa, verse 119, and I will misguide them, and I will arouse in them sinful desires, and I will command them so that they will slit the ears of the cattle. So inshallah, we will stop here, and tomorrow we will speak about the first assault and the first weapon that shaitan used against mankind, and the correct ideology and the way of thinking that we should adopt and we should apply into our daily lives. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our deeds and to make us better believers in His deen, and to make us, give us the opportunity to strengthen our relationship with Him in this holy month of Ramadan, and to not allow 1 second to pass by without His remembrance. And this is why Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, oh Allah, don't even leave me for 1 second. The Imam is telling us, don't even, oh Allah, don't leave me for 1 second. So if the Imam is saying that, then what should we say? We should always have Allah in our mind. We should always do dhikr, and not just do dhikr because it's good exercise for the tongue, but to do dhikr because you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you have this feeling inside of you that no matter what you say and what you do, it's still not enough to give back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us the helpers of the Imam when he reappears, and to strengthen our relationship with him in this holy month of Ramadan. And let us recite Surah Al-Fatiha for brother Ali Amir, Layla Begum, Ali Abrar Amir, Omul Khair Badak, Ali Muhammad, and Sakina Banu, and all your marhum and marhumat, and all deceased and all martyrs of Islam, and for protection of our maraja around the world, let us please recite Surah Al-Fatiha and 3 loud salawats ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.